Hello everyone, welcome to 4D webinar series. The topic for today is actions, events, and taking control of the list box. My name is Add Komoncharoensiri. I will be your presenter for today. There are three areas that I would like to cover today: automatic actions, new events, and programmatic controls. We'll break them up into separate demos to make things very clear for you. So let's take a look at our first demo. Now, first example here, I'd like to start with something that we are quite familiar with, list form. Now, the list forms that we have here is basically generated from the form wizard. So we have some of the basic automatic actions button at the top of the form. As we all know, it allows you to do something like, scroll up and down your selections, manipulate your selections by maybe doing a subset, performing a query, do an order by. Those are the typical action that you will find in a typical list form. You can also double click on the record, scroll through them, come back. Now let's take a look at the same, or may I say a similar form, but composed with list box. Let me move this form to the left side of the screen a little bit and open up another form that looks almost identical, except that we are using list box to display our selections right now. So this is the list box object. You can see we can do a scrolling of the selection. We can perform the exact same task as the list form. That is, we can choose to manipulate the selection, perhaps doing a subset. We can perform a query. We can do order by. Let's try that. And some of the stuff that you will expect the list form to behave. There are a few things which is pretty obvious. The list form itself starts a scroll bar at the top of the windows. Now, because list box is a form object, the scroll bar actually stays within the area. Another thing that I want to point out is that because a list box is quite unique, it actually consists of multiple sub-objects, which means that you can manipulate those objects individually and have a better control of your whole list box object as a whole. Now, one of the features that I have added to this form is the ability to turn on and off particular column. So we can decide whether we want particular column to be displayed or not. So let's turn off some of them. Last name, gone. Phone, gone. And you can see that the column is self-adjusted so that it fits the screen nicely. Now let's bring some of those stuff back. Last name, phone. You can also move column from one location to another as well, and this happens automatically. No additional code required, except that you have to enable specific property during the design time. You also get the automatic sorting feature in the column, which is you cannot do it in the list form. You can try to click on it, nothing will happen. Those are the things that you have to implement into your list form by yourself. So some of these options is very automatic. Another very cool thing that I really like about list form, about using list box as a list form is, let's say you double click and display the record. And you can do the same thing, that is going next, next, next. You can even go to the last record, and you can see that when I get out this record, I get the highlight to the position of the record that I was at the time. In the list form, you cannot do it. It does not happen. You can create that kind of illusion, or not so much of illusion, but apply a little bit more coding to make that happen. But in the list box itself, it gives that ability for the record to be highlighted once you return back to the caller, which is where the list box is at. Now let's take a look at how we added the list box into this form. So let's go back to the design mode. This is the form that we used. We have the list box object over here. The list box itself is in a selection base. So we bind the table to the whole list box. We give it the number of columns, and for each column we specifically set to particular field. Now you can see that we set the selection mode to multiple. You can do that in 3 modes: none, single, and multiple. You can also create a name of the highlight set. I choose to use the same set as what you will use in the list form, that is the user set, and that's acceptable as well. Double click, you have an option to choose whether you want to do nothing, edit record, or just display the record. And finally, you have an option to define what will be the name of your detail form if you double click on the list box record. That's it. Once you have set those options, the magic happens automatically. You don't need to add any additional code to maintain your list box, to maintain the selection. Everything happens automatically. Now let's go back to our runtime mode and take a look at another example. In this example, we want to talk about how to insert a list box column. Now, this feature has been around for a long time. It's nothing new. There's a couple of techniques that most people will do. One is actually predefine some of the columns in advance during the design time, and then make a decision to show a high at the runtime. Now in this example in particular, we want to insert new columns into this particular list box. We have the code set up here to do just that. So we'll insert a few columns. As you can see that the new columns are added with the same exact look and feel as the one before, which is the clothing column. Now, this takes a few calls to 4D commands to do it. So let's take a look at how it's done. Right here we have a clothing column, which is predefined for a specific style and format and fonts. The very first thing that we need to do is to make a call to a list box insert column. This will insert a new column into the list box, and then we call object set title. This command is not a list box specific command. It allows us to set a title to an object. And because list box consists of multiple objects inside of it, we can directly set the title to the title, the header of the list box. The next thing we need to do is to start applying appropriate look and feel to that column. So we set the RGB color. We call the command object set font to set appropriate font, font size, font style, and then apply the format. As you can see, there are a couple of calls that we need to make in order to maintain particular look and feel. Now in V14, we addressed that issue for you. We have consolidated some of these things for you in order for you to minimize the number of coding that needs to happen in your design mode and the number of execution that you need to do during the runtime. So we have a new command called listbox duplicate column. What it does is it allows you to duplicate the column property, all of the appearance, look and feel, font style, font size, color, background color, maintain all those stuff for you, and yet it allows you to bind the new column to any variable or to an expression. So let's take a look at how it's done in V14 with the new command. So we'll go ahead and add another column. You can see that it behaves exactly the same way. So let's take a look at the actual coding itself. We have set up a call here, listbox duplicate column. We define some of the basic functionality, stuff that we have to do, even with the same as the listbox insert column. Duplicate that column with the same exact property and set the title, of course, because we want particular title to be applied to that column. And then here we go. We have the same exact look and feel. And this is one of the convenient ways to program your list box and allows columns to be inserted at runtime without having to make additional calls to maintain a particular look and feel. The new command does it for you. Okay, now let's take a look at our next example. In this next example here, we want to talk about two new events: on column moved and on row moved. Exactly as the name is already described, the event will get triggered every time when I move a column, as well as every time when I move a row. In this example, we have two list boxes. One will mirror another. That is, every time when I move a column, in this list box, the order of the column name will get sorted accordingly. So you'll see that every time when I move a column, the column A gets shifted to the right location to reflect what's changed that I made on the left side of the screen. The way it works is this. Every time when I move a column, as you can see, the form event on column moved is triggered. Then I use the command listbox moved column number to get the information, that is where the column is coming from and where is it going. From there, I will call appropriate command to get information of the new column header and then apply it to the column in the second list box. And that's it. That's the effect. The same thing that I do from the column to the row will be in the reverse now. That is, if I'm moving a row, the column will get moved to the right location, to the right order. And the code that I use is really simple. And it's quite similar to the other one. So every time when a row is moved, the command list box moved row number will provide me with the location of where a row used to be and where's the new location that it is now. And then I calculate, make sure that I have the right information. I apply the same information to the first list box, which is the one on the left. So as you can see, it has the same exact mirror effect. And that's one way that you can do with the new command and the new events that the list box has. Now let's take a look at the next example here. This is about footer. So list box does support footer. It also allows you to apply appropriate calculation to the footer. You can do it at runtime, or you can predefine it at the design time. So let's look at some of the example here. We have a list box that shows bonus and salary. We can display the footer of minimum value, maximum value. We can do a sum of the whole column. Now the code behind it is quite simple. In this code here, we are utilizing the command list box set footer calculation, and the command can be used to set variety of calculation, starting from what you just saw, standard deviation, and sum, count, all of those stuff. It can be done at runtime, and it's quite convenient because at any given time the user might want to see different data. Now the last call that I'm making is the footer height. I'm setting the height of the footer because I want it to appear larger than the normal row and cell. So that's the command that I call. So that's how you do it programmatically. Now you can do it from the property list the time that you design your form. This is the property of the footer object. As I described earlier, a list box consists of multiple objects, and those are the objects that you have control individually, whether it's going to be done from the property list or it can be done through one of the objects command. Now in this case, as you can see, the drop down of the variable calculation, you can choose from custom. If you want to apply your own data and format, you can do so. You can choose the default calculations, one of them anyway, minimum, maximum, sum, count, average. You can do so. And besides the fact that you can do it here during the runtime, you can also set them to a different one with the command that we saw earlier, which is list box set footer calculation. Now let's take a look at the option to set the footer to some custom value. Okay, the one thing I want to point out is the variable that you have that you can define in your footer can be numeric or text. Okay, one of those types can be defined, and then once you make your decision, you kind of have to stick to it. You can't make changes during the runtime. So numeric will be available for you to use the standard action, standard calculation that ListBox has to offer. That is, if you want to set one of them to average, to do summation, to do minimum or maximum value, a numeric variable footer will allow you to do that. Now if you set the footer variable to a text type or string type value. You can only use custom option, and let me show you how it works. So the first thing I'm going to do here is to display the footer. The next thing I want to show the total. And in fact, if you look at it, it's almost the same as you do a summation from the other example, the previous example. But I'm going to show you this time of the code behind it. It's actually defined the footer as text. So everything that you see here, I do manual calculation. That is, I do all the summation together. At the end, I will do a conversion from numeric to string with appropriate format applied to that variable. And I'm doing the same thing in average as well. Now the cool thing about using the custom and as being a text data is you can do a new line character. It means that you can stack up your content like this. Now I have two lines displaying different data. This is again, it's not a real multiple footer line, except that I am manipulating the actual data itself to make it look like I have two lines. So you can do something like that. You can have minimum, maximum value on top of each other. And let's take a look at the code behind it. Once again, I'm doing my own calculation of each column value, and then at the end, I will apply appropriate, line feed, line break within my data content. And there you go. You have that similar effect as multiple line break that you might want in your project. Okay, and that is it. I think we are ready for the Q&A.